We're at the halfway point of the season, and there are two new names at the top of the championship standings. Hello everybody, welcome to the Lausitzring for race 8, part of round 4 of the ADAC GT Masters, racing for the title of International German GT Championship. Conditions are set fair for a great afternoon of racing. Qualifying has been and gone this morning, and it is the car that brought about the red flag yesterday that has qualified on pole position today, the number 13 Zach Speed Mercedes in the hands of Jules Gounon. But as I've mentioned already, we have a new duo at the top of the championship standings. Yesterday, it was a win for the Monteplas by Land Audi in the hands of Ricardo Feller, who put the car on pole position, and Christopher Mies, who took over as the race progressed. And they came home with a maximum score, having put in the fastest lap in the race as well. And they were definitely on a charge yesterday, and they move up to the top of the point standings. They were third coming into this weekend. As we look at our pole sitter there, Jules Gounon getting ready to get into the car. So Mies and Feller were third in the championship coming into this weekend, and now are at the top. Our championship leaders coming into this weekend, Mikael Ammermuller and Mathieu Jaminet, had a dreadful day yesterday. They were involved in a number of incidents, one that saw them spinning and another that saw them earning a drive-through penalty. And they have dropped from first to fourth in the championship standings. They are still only 12 points off the leaders, so it is still very, very close. Second place remains as Maxi Buch and Raffaele Marciello, just 9 points off the championship lead. And third place remains the same as well. Albert Costa Balboa and Mirko Bortolotti, and they are just 10 points off that championship lead. And Bortolotti and Costa Balboa had a podium position yesterday, finished in third place. Second place went to the car you saw on your screen just now, the Team Talksport WRT Mercedes in the hands of Lucas Stoltz and Mauro Engel. So there is Maxi Buch, and he will be in charge of the Manfilter Team Landgraf HTB Winwood Motorsport Mercedes, along with Raffaele Marciello, and will be looking to improve on the fourth place that they earned yesterday. They start today fourth on the grid. There's Julian Andlauer. He's guesting this weekend. He's sitting in for Dylan Pereira, who is taking part in the Porsche Super Cup in Monza. So Julian Andlauer, an experienced Porsche driver and an ex-Porsche Carrera Cup France and Porsche Carrera Cup Germany champion. And great to welcome him to the ADAC GT Masters for this event in the number 74 Team Bernhard Porsche. There's Christopher Mies. That was the car that won the race yesterday, Christopher Mies and Ricardo Feller. And it was Feller who did all the hard work really in the morning. We had changeable weather conditions yesterday morning. Oh, we're looking from Australia. And it was Feller who put it on pole position at just the right time with a low fuel run, and nobody could get anywhere near them. Seventh on the grid, you saw Marvin Kirchhofer there in the one and only Corvette on the grid, the Callaway competition, a historic name in the world of ADAC GT Masters. Another driver change also in the number 74 car. Joel Eriksson is replacing Janis Fitcher. So that is also in the KUS Team 75 Bernhard Porsche. Janis Fitcher jumps across to another Porsche, the Team USA Sportwagen Technique car, and he is sitting in for Marco Holzer. So it's kind of musical chairs in the Porsche drivers, really. There's Patrick Niederhauser, and he did actually qualify fourth this morning, but has incurred a 5-place grid drop. So he starts now from P9 on the grid. There's Christopher Haase, the first ever champion in the ADAC GT Masters, who lines up 10th on the grid. You can see the cars lined up along the pit straight in the customary Le Mans start. Sadly, we don't have the drivers running across the track to get in the cars in this day and age, but it looks very impressive to the audience that are here, and we are really pleased to welcome spectators back slowly restrictions are lifting. Slowly, we're getting back to something that resembles normality. And we have a number of spectators here this weekend, which is great news. It is round 4 of a 7-round series, 2 races per weekend, one on the Saturday, one on the Sunday. Round 5 takes place on the 1st or 3rd of October at the Sachsenring, and round 6 will be at Hockenheim, 22nd to 24th of October, and then it all comes to a close at the beginning of November at the Nürburgring, where we will have a round 7. That'll be races 13 and 14. Of course, the Nürburgring round was due to have been in August, but the dreadful situation with the flooding in Germany meant that that has been postponed. But we're very pleased that we will be going to the Nürburgring, albeit a bit later in the season than originally planned. As you can see and you can hear, the ground is absolutely shaking because all of these 26 cars have burst into life, and very shortly they will start their formation lap, and we will be bringing you the racing. So the cars are all on board, the engines are running. We're at the Lausitzring. We are about 100 kilometers south of Berlin and about 63 kilometers from beautiful Dresden, located at Klettwitz in the state of Brandenburg in East Germany. This circuit, which is originally a tri-oval but has a road course in the centre as well. We're using the road course, not the tri-oval, although we do use sections of the tri-oval, including the pit straight and out of turn 5 towards turn 6 where we dip back onto the tri-oval. A wonderful banked circuit. It is 3.478 kilometres around, which equates to about 2.16 miles. There are 12 turns, 7 of them to the left and 5 to the right. The cars run in an anti-clockwise direction, which is quite unusual. We're going to have a look at the starting grid, and there's confirmation of Jules Gounon, who starts on pole position in the Zaxby Mercedes with Franck Pereira alongside. Mauro Engel, very solid, third on the grid alongside Maxi Buch, and then Julian Andlauer guesting alongside yesterday's winner Christopher Mies. Marvin Kirchhofer in the Callaway Competition Corvette is alongside Dennis Marshall, and then Patrick Niederhauser and Christopher Haase on row 5 of the grid. Clemens Schmid and Albert Costa Balboa make an all GRT Grasser Lamborghini row 6, and row 7 Dries Vanthoor a little bit off the pace alongside Mathieu Jaminet, the championship leaders coming into this weekend. Jesse Krohn, a lot of work to do from 15th on the grid alongside Christian Engelhardt, and then Robert Renauer and Daniel Karlwitz, another former champion in GT Masters racing. Row 10 of the grid, Hugo Sasser, the youngest driver in the field, alongside Marcus Winkelhock. There's a name that's legendary in motorsport. Janis Fitcher and Norbert Seidler are on row 11. And then row 12, Pierre Caffer and Mick Wieshofer. And then the back row of the grid, Simona Di Silvestro, the only lady driver in the field this weekend, and Konstantin Skoll. You can see that the cars are formed up side by side. We're just circulating around towards turn 11. The safety car disappears into the distance. Conditions are perfect. We're not anticipating any showers at this point. So hoping for a dry race. We have 1 hour of racing ahead of us, and it will be the car number 13 that leads the field across the line. Out of turn 12 they come, and they can see the red lights ahead of them. When those lights turn green, we will be racing. The cars are waiting as they head along the pit straight, and now we are go. And here they come. It is car 13, Jules Gounon, who's made a great start, and he leads the field into turn 1. And through a bit of a pinch point, downhill slightly, into the corner they go. And what a start from Jules Gounon, with Mauro Engel up into second place, Franck Pereira dropping down to third. We've already got a spinner, that's Patrick Niederhauser. So Patrick Niederhauser is stranded out on turn 2. Looks like there's been a bit of contact. Back onto the tri-oval we come. Here is the pack of cars. There's Maxi Buch weaving the whole crowd of cars behind him, looking to work their way past. And now we're looking back at that field of cars. So around they come in towards turn 7. But what a great start from Jules Gounon. He really did go like a rat up a drain pipe. There's a couple of cars getting a little bit wide out of the corner. It looks like they're all pointing in the right direction. This opening lap, a good opportunity to make up places, but also a good opportunity to have some big accidents. And car number 4 is the one we saw, and that's Hugo Sassa as well. So his afternoon has come to an early stop. We've got the safety car out on track already, so we've only had one lap of this race. And what a shame. We've lost Patrick Niederhauser, and now we've also lost Hugo Sassa. And it might be that those two got together. You can see Sassa is out of the car, and one of the Mamba cars has lost a bit of bodywork. So whether that is Christopher Haase or Maxi Book, I imagine it's probably Christopher Haase. So there's debris to be retrieved. The safety car is out, and it's very much catch your breath while you can. And this, of course, just gets the cars into single file, and that is the Christopher Haase car, which I believe has lost the bodywork and maybe got together with Hugo Sassa in the number 71 T3 Motorsport Lamborghini. There's a brave man if ever I saw one. Out on track, run back to safety, and the 71 car is gonna have to be retrieved from there before we can go back to green flag racing. So it gives us a chance just to catch our breath. So we've lost Sassa, and we're having another look at the restart here, and Gounon really did get a good jump at the start. You can see the rest of the cars funneling in. There's a bit of bumping and boring into that turn 1, and they all made it around the first corner. It was the second that caused all the problems. You could see Niederhauser moving across. Also, Matteo Jaminet was in there as well. The view from Albert Costa Balboa on board. Absolute full tilt up towards turn 1. You can see the cars are running 3-4 abreast. And that is where the drama happened. So that is where we lost Niederhauser. And we saw a bit of contact also with Sassa into turn 1. This is the view from the leaders, and there really is a lot of bumping and banging into that corner. They say that rubbing is racing, and there's certainly plenty of that going on. And as the cars fan out on the pit straight and then funnel in to that very tight turn 1, it really does cause some controversies. We've seen many an incident on this corner over the years, and that is where Niederhauser went spinning. And lucky not to be T-boned by anybody else. Niederhauser has been able to rejoin, albeit at the back of the field. Jesse Krohn in the BMW came incredibly close to picking up Niederhauser there, and escapes without any dramas. So that really was a hold on to your hats moment on that opening lap. And you can see bumping across the grass and the dirt, and you can see that little bit of rubbing that went on. And of course, this opening lap is always that opportunity where you can get past a whole stack of cars, but you get it wrong and your afternoon is going to be over. And that's exactly what's happened to Hugo Sassa. Max Paul, who shares that car with him, will not be getting a drive this afternoon, which is a real shame. They scored their best result of the season yesterday. As we can see, the safety car is going to be coming in. They finished in an 11th place, but clearly won't be bettering that today. So, safety car is in. It's Jules Gounon who leads the way. Mauro Engel, Maxi Boot making it a Mercedes AMG 123. The first non-Mercedes runner is Julian Andlauer in P4. And then the Lamborghini of Franck Pereira out of turn 12. Up on the banking they come. It's flat out along the pit straight. Gounon weaving, just trying to get heat into the tyres. Jules Gounon, the 2017 champion of ADAC GT Masters. And into turn 1 we come. We saw one of the GRT Grasser Lamborghinis having a little peep to the side, but ducks back into the queue. So a little bit more orderly than the last time they came round this corner. But Gounon leading the way. The view from Jesse Krohn, who is sharing driving duties with Nick Yellerly, and they are without a doubt championship contenders, but have been caught up in a number of incidents and controversies throughout the season that sees them further down the points chart than we would expect. But yesterday, Nick Yellerly got turned around and went to the absolute back of the field in race 1, and he and Jesse Krohn worked their way back through to finish in 7th place, which was very impressive. And there is Jesse Krohn moving to the inside of Konstantin Skoll and picking up a position, but Krohn had dropped back to 22nd place at the start of this race, so a lot of work to do to get back up into the points. So Konstantin Skoll in the number 20 Zaxby Mercedes, an identical car to the one that is leading the way, and that is Jules Gounon. You can see he's opened up about a second to Mauro Engel and Maxi Book. So really Mercedes looking very strong here this afternoon at the Lausitzring. So here comes Jules Gounon at a gap to Mauro Engel. So car 4 is going to have to serve a penalty lap for an inaccurate grid position. So Patrick Niederhauser's afternoon goes from bad to worse. The 2019 champion is going to have to visit the penalty box, and that is a section of track about 200 meters just out of turn 5. It's off the racing line, and he will have to pass through that at 60 kilometers an hour, and that will be his penalty. It's a great tool in the armory of the race stewards. As you can see, he's absolutely stone last now anyway, but it means that the stewards can issue a penalty without utterly wrecking a driver's afternoon, and that avoids drive-through penalties, which are obviously a lot more costly. So for lesser incidents, and clearly the stewards have decided that that is the case. Another one, Dries Vanthoor, and that is significant. Vanthoor, who's showing in 13th place at the moment, is also going to have to visit the penalty box for an inaccurate grid position. So both of those cars are going to lose, well, Niederhauser's not going to lose any places because he's at the back already. But certainly Dries Vanthoor is going to lose a few places when he slows down to go through the penalty box. And there they are. That is the penalty zone there. The two cars pass through at the speed limit and then back on the accelerator. And Dries Vanthoor, along with Charles Witt, were pre-season favourites for the International German GT Championship, but have not had the greatest season so far. They've done very well in other classes, but here are struggling a little bit. And as we see, Vanthoor fighting back. But yesterday he didn't even get a go in the car because Charles Witt was involved in an incident early on and had to retire from the race. And now Dries Vanthoor has an awful lot of work to do from 18th position. So going through the penalty box lost him about 5 positions, and he is now out of the points. Jules Gounon continues to control the pace. 1.11 seconds is the gap out the front, and along the pit straight they come. Here's Jesse Krohn, the car that came back yesterday and needs to come back today, looking at 20th place. Janis Fitcher, and Fitcher relinquishes that position, so Jesse Krohn up to 20th. And next up the road is Mick Wieshofer, and that BMW has been very rapid. If only it could avoid all the incidents that are going on around the circuit. So we'll keep an eye on Jesse Krohn. Just to remind you that in this race there is a mandatory pit stop and driver change for all cars, and the pit window will open 25 minutes into the race, will remain open for 10 minutes, and then will close again. And in that 10 minutes, every car will be required to come in for a mandatory stop and driver change. Right, another penalty lap for an inaccurate grid position has been awarded, this time to the number 16 car in the hands of Clemens Schmid. No, that's the one we've actually seen already, I beg your pardon. So we've already spoken about that one. So Clement Schmid, who had that penalty lap, down in 17th place. And of course it was Dries Vanthoor, the other one, who had to serve that penalty lap. We've just seen Matteo Jaminet in the number 92 SSR Performance Porsche. And Jaminet is moving on up to P11 at the moment, looking to repair some of the damage that has happened over the last couple of races for that car. Ahead of him is one of his main championship rivals, Albert Costa Balboa, the number 63 GRT Grasser Lamborghini, currently in the hunt for the points championship, third in the points. And Jaminet would really like to get past Albert Costa Balboa. So all three of the GRT Grasser Lamborghinis finished in the top 8 yesterday, which was very impressive. They have been very strong around this circuit. But Matteo Jaminet now turning the heat up on 10th place, Albert Costa Balboa. Ahead of them is Christopher Haase. So no further action to be taken on any of the issues at the start. So hopefully all penalties have now been served, and it's very much as you see them on the track. But of course, the night is young. We still have a little under 48 minutes of this event remaining. And lots of racing still to come. And Jules Gounon, who leads the way, he started on pole position. He's very much controlled this race. Mauro Engel, who started third, is up to second. And Maxi Buch, who started fourth, is up to third. Franck Pereira, who started on the front row, has dropped down to 5th place as Matteo Jaminet finds a route past Albert Costa Balboa and is up into 10th place. So Jaminet is a man on a mission, finds a gap on the inside of the corner. Costa Balboa going deep in towards turn 11 and out onto turn 12. And Jaminet relieves him of that position. Next up the road for Jaminet is Christopher Haase. And Jaminet will be making a move on him in no time at all, I should think. That car is looking very rapid at the moment. So Julian Andlau with Franck Pereira, who started on the front row of this race. And also in that fight is Marvin Kirchhofer. But Julian Andlauer, in his debut in the ADAC GT Masters, has been performing very well all weekend. He knows Porsches like the back of his hand and has won in Porsche many times before in other series. And here he is in amongst the big boys, fending off a Lamborghini and a Corvette. So Julian Andlauer continuing to impress in that 4th place. So this is the battle for 4th that we're looking at the moment. You can see it on your screen. 4th, 5th and 6th glued together is Julian Andlauer, Franck Pereira in the Lamborghini, and Marvin Kirchhofer in the Corvette C7. The rumble that car makes as it comes past never fails to impress, as Pereira has a little look to the inside of Julian Andlauer. So here's a replay of an earlier incident with Dries Vanthoor doing a little bit of rallycross and losing yet more positions. So Dries Vanthoor having a bit of a mare this weekend, as is teammate Charles Witt, and they'll be quite pleased to pack this one up and head off to the Sachsenring, I should think. So we're still looking at the battle for 4th place. It's Julian Andlauer, Franck Pereira, Marvin Kirchhofer glued together, and for my money, Franck Pereira is looking very, very racy indeed. They come out of turn 12, pick up the slipstream along the pit straight. Is he close enough to make a move? So Andlauer just positioning that car in the perfect position into turn 1, under braking downhill slightly. And here is Matteo Jaminet. He's passed Christopher Haase. So Jaminet up into 9th place. So the defending GT Masters champions from 2020, the SSR Performance team, with Matteo Jaminet alongside Mikael Ammermuller, who will be taking over that car later on. showing their might here at the Lausitzring, working their way through the field, and Matteo Jaminet looking very strong. This is the view from Albert Costa Balboa, and he really wants to get up and close with Matteo Jaminet because that is one of his main championship challenges. Frank Pereira looking again to the outside of Julian Andlauer, ducks back towards the inside, nothing going on there. Marvin Kirchhofer getting ready to jump into a gap if one should appear, or if these two cars get together. But Andlauer defending for all he's worth. It's the rear-engined Porsche with the Lamborghini nibbling at his heels, but now suddenly Frank Pereira has got his mirrors full of Marvin Kirchhofer. The Callaway Competition Corvette moves to the inside of the Lamborghini. It's a drag race in towards turn one under braking, and it looks like Kirchhofer has that position. So Marvin Kirchhofer finds a route past Frank Pereira, and Kirchhofer is up into 5th place. So now Marvin Kirchhofer setting about Julian Andlauer, and the Corvette, we never got to see it in anger yesterday. It was involved in an incident on the opening lap and was forced to retire. Had looked very strong in all the free practice sessions, and that is proven to be the case now. So Kirchhofer in P5, Julian Andlauer just ahead. So that is the battle for 4th place. You can just see the leader there, that's Jules Gounon. He's got a 1.6 second lead over Mauro Engel and Maxi Buch, and then it's that battle there, those 3 cars for 4th place. And then a gap back to Dennis Marshall, yesterday's winner Christopher Mies, and Matteo Jaminet, who is a man on a mission working his way up through the field. Maxi Buch in the last of the podium positions, and that car has been so strong all weekend. It's consistency rather than sporadic wins that win championships, and Marchiello and Buch have been very consistent over these last few race weekends and are looking very strong in this championship. Mauro Engel just in front. It's Mercedes AMG versus Mercedes AMG, and of course another Mercedes disappearing into the distance at the moment. So the 3 Mercedes all together. 1, 2, 3. Jules Gounon is the leader. Mauro Engel with Maxi Buch for company. Then it's a Porsche, Julian Andlauer. Then the Corvette of Marvin Kirchhofer, and the Lamborghini Frank Pereira, and an Audi of Dennis Marshall. So you can see what that gap looks like in terms of the lead. That's about 2 seconds now. You can see how small the gap is between 2nd and 3rd. Then here comes that ongoing fight for 4th, 5th and 6th. And then it's Dennis Marshall, yesterday's winner Christopher Mies, and Matteo Jaminet now turning the heat up. Just to remind you, Christopher Mies and Ricardo Feller are the drivers that have taken the lead in the points championship, so this is personal. Matteo Jaminet really needs to get past that Audi. It looked earlier on in the season like the SSR Performance Porsche was going to walk this championship and become the first team to successfully defend their title in ADAC GT Masters, as he looks to the outside, and Mies covering that off. But a number of incidents in the last few races has seen some no scores for the number 92 car, or some very low scores, and now they're trying to repair the damage, and their main challenger directly in front of them, Matteo Jaminet, pressuring Christopher Mies for 8th place. Absolutely nothing separating them. They head along towards turn 6. And looking back from Christopher Mies, you can see that yellow and black Porsche. And Christopher Mies, an experienced driver, a former champion in GT Masters, just keeping his head, keeping it focused, and not allowing himself to become flustered by the yellow car filling his mirrors. So this is the view from Matteo Jaminet. You saw it looking back from Christopher Mies. You're now looking forwards from Jaminet. And the fight continues for 8th place. Christopher Meads in 8th, Jaminet in 9th. All of this is allowing the leaders to pull away. Jules Gounon now 2.5 seconds to the good. And we are just a little over 4 minutes until the pit window opens. And suddenly it's all changed, because every car will need to visit the pit lane for a mandatory stop and a driver change. So Jules Gounon leading the way, Maro Engel in 2nd, Maxi Buch in 3rd, then the very impressive Julian Andlauer in 4th, Marvin Kirchhofer, and then Frank Pereira. There's some battles further back down the order. That's Robert Renauer, another former champion in GT Masters. We have many former champions of racing in this series. It is so competitive. And the number 99 Precoat Herbert Motorsport Porsche is down in 12th place at the moment, with Daniel Karwitz, guess what, another champion, former champion, just behind him. So the number 4 car, Patrick Niederhauser, another former champion, 2019 champion, is working his way back forwards, but he's still down in 22nd place, so not making the kind of progress he needs to after such an impressive qualifying this morning. And now loitering at the back of the field, Jules Gounon continues to stretch his legs at the front, and Maro Engel just keeping him in sight. Now the strategy, which is going to play out in the pit stop, as we see Jesse Krohn looking to the outside of Clemens Schmid, and then ducking back to the inside. Schmid has got him covered off at the moment, but Jesse Krohn in the number 10 BMW down in 18th place, still out of the points, a long way back from where they wanted to be. So Jesse Krohn working hard to get past the Lamborghini. So when the pit stop window opens, it's going to be a strategy call by the teams. If their driver is caught up in traffic, they might want to bring them in early and get them out onto some clear track so that they can get some open air and get some hot laps in. Or they might want to bring them in later if they've got open track in front of them. And if they do that, there's an opportunity to jump positions once the pit stops are all done and dusted. You can see a graphic on your screen there, race laps for Wells in Africa, and that is an initiative between BWT and the ADAC. They've jointly got together and are donating €4 to the Be Water mission for each completed race lap for each GT Masters vehicle. So lots of money being generated. The Be Water mission builds wells in primarily rural areas in Gambia and Tanzania to ensure access to clean drinking water. And it's been really good to see BWT getting heavily involved with the ADAC and all they do, all about reducing pollution and getting clean drinking water around the world. And a really good initiative. That's what that graphic meant that popped up onto your screen just now. We're still riding on board with Mathieu Jaminet in 9th place. He still hasn't found a route past Christopher Meads. It's Porsche v Audi. Now Christopher Meads, not easy to get past, and yesterday's winner currently in 8th position. Our leader, Jules Gounon, continues to open up a gap. You can see from your graphic on the screen there that that incident involving Hugo Sasser earlier on is no further action going to be coming as a result of that. So everything as you were. And a real shame that we've lost the youngest driver pairing in the field, Hugo Sasser, who passed his driving test at the beginning of August. Again, we're riding on board with Jesse Krohn. And this time, he's got a route past the number 16 car. So Clemens Schmid drops down to 18th, and Jesse Krohn moves up to 17th. Next up the road for Krohn is Marcus Winkelhock in the number 69 Audi. So look at the gap that Jules Gounon has. The pit window is open, as you can see from the graphic on the screen, and within the next 10 minutes every car will be required to come into the pits. We've already got Konstantin Skoll and Simona Di Silvestro in. They were running towards the back of the pack, The rest of the cars will have to come in at some point or the other. Also, to remind you what that little countdown clock means, at the side of the graphic, there is a 70-second minimum pit stop time. If the driver goes below that 70 seconds, they are going to pick up a penalty. So everything very heavily regulated to keep it nice and equal. So 70 seconds from pit entry to pit exit for each car. And almost every race we see somebody trying to make up some time who goes below that 70 seconds. Right, here comes Maxi Book. He's going to be handing over to Raffaele Marciello. You can see him getting ready to exit the car. He has to be careful because if he unbuckles too quickly, the stewards will give him a penalty. So it's all done very, very carefully. Also in, Albert Costa Balboa. So Albert Costa Balboa handing over to Mirko Bortolotti. One driver out, the other one in. It's very much a team effort. You see Costa Balboa helping Bortolotti to get buckled up into that GRT Grassa Lamborghini. You can see Maxi Book getting Raffaele Marciello well installed in that Mercedes AMG. And Marciello, a driver who always impresses, not scared to get his elbows out. There's Jesse Krohn, so he's come in. It's Nick Yellowly who's taking over driving duties in the Schubert Motorsport BMW M6, and very much the swan song for the M6. The M4 is waiting in the wings, but there's certainly life in the old dog yet. That M6 has been very rapid this year. Mauro Engel continues out, but now is back into the pit lane, so he will be handing over to Lucas Stoltz. So second place into the pits for the mandatory stop. And quite an early stop for Mauro Engel. And here comes Matteo Jaminet in the background. He's going to be handing over to Mikael Ammermuller. So this is the view from Matteo Jaminet. Coming into the pit lane, keeping to the speed limit, stops in exactly the right point. Engine off, door open. One driver out. Mikael Ammermuller jumps in. So Matteo Jaminet just passing over any information that needs to be handed over. That's the 22 car. That's Lucas Stoltz now in the driving seat. Mauro Engel exits stage right. The engine fires up, the growl of that Mercedes, and now that painful wait for the clock to tick down. And of course, you don't want to spend any more seconds than necessary stationary in your pit box, but you also don't want to cross that line before the clock strikes zero. And you can see how tightly that is timed, because Lucas Stoltz really did hit that line as the clock struck zero. And every single fraction of a second means so much and makes all the difference. You can see that Raffaele Marciello is already up to speed in the Mann-Filter Team Landgraf Mercedes. So Marciello bearing down on Lucas Stoltz. Right, here's our leader into the pit, Jules Gounon, handing it over to the birthday boy, Igor Valilko. It's his birthday today. What a birthday present it would be if he could win this race. Gounon had opened up a lead of over 2.5 seconds. So he's done all the hard work. It's now down to Valilko to take over the driving duties and bring it home. There's the 54 Yako Racing Audi and Simon Riker, who's taking over from Norbert Seidler. And the engine fires up. There's a limit to the number of people that are allowed to work on the car. Just 2 mechanics allowed into the pit lane. And then that wait while the clock ticks down. Here comes Igor Valilko. So it looks as though Valilko, where is he in relation? He's managed to get out well ahead of Lucas Stoltz and Raffaele Marciello. So when all the pit stops are done and dusted, it's looking as though Valilko will continue in the lead. So 4th place is the best that team has managed, as Jules Gounon gives us a wave. His hard work is done. 4th place is the best that they've managed so far this season. And this really will be a turn-up, particularly after yesterday. That number 13 car blew an engine, coated the track in oil, brought about a very lengthy red flag. And the Zakspeed team were up till 5 o'clock this morning, rebuilding that car and getting it back up together. So you can see Mikael Ammermuller, who has taken over the battle with Riccardo Fella just ahead. And Mirko Bortolotti also involved in that fight at the moment. They are showing further down the order in 15th, 16th and 17th as Bortolotti looks to the inside of the Porsche. That is significant because these are championship challengers. So Bortolotti finds a route past Mikael Ammermuller and jumps up a position. We're still waiting for the remainder of the field to pit. Our leader at the moment is Marvin Kirchhofer, but he has yet to have his mandatory pit stop and driver change. You can see there are still 6 cars that are yet to pit, and when they have done so, in theory, Igor Valilko will resume the lead of this race in that Zakspeed Mercedes. So the pit stops always bring a random element and muddle things up just a little bit, and Mikael Ammermuller really does not have the pace that he would hope for. Out here you can see a little bit of attack from the GRT Grasser Lamborghini, and that is out of turn 11 and towards turn 12. You can see a little bit of contact and a little bit of bodywork disappearing off. So whether the stewards decide to have a look at that, well, that remains to be seen. You can see Mikael Ammermuller fully concentrated. Here comes Valilko across the line. It's still Marvin Kirchhofer who leads the way. From Frank Pereira, Christopher Haase, Daniel Karwitz, Patrick Niederhauser, Pierre Kaffer, and then it comes Igor Valilko. The Riccardo Fellow car on the inside of Kim Louis Schramm in the number 33 car. So Fella still pushing forwards, and it's looking like the Monteplas Barlan Audi might have benefited from this run of pit stops, because when it's all done and dusted, Fella is going to be at the sharp end of the grid, or the sharp end of the pack anyway. So Kim Louis Schramm is in the number 33 car. It's Audi versus Audi, and in the background there's Mikael Ammermuller, and there is Mirko Bortolotti. So a number of the championship contenders and challengers are running together. All cars are into the pits, or have been into the pits, apart from Frank Pereira and Daniel Karwitz now. So it's Pereira who takes over the lead. You can see from the graphic that car 69 is under investigation for a pit stop time. It seems to happen on every race, and that is Florian Spengler, who's taken over from Marcus Winkelhock. So if that's under investigation, it might be that a penalty is incoming. So it is indeed a penalty. So car 69, Florian Spengler, is going to have to visit the penalty box, and Spengler, who's currently down in 18th place, is going to lose some more positions once he's served that penalty, and he will have to pass through that box within the next couple of laps. So Frank Pereira and Daniel Karwitz are now both into the pits, and it's going to be Igor Valilko who takes over the lead of this race. So there's Frank Pereira in the number 19 GRT Grasser Racing Lamborghini, and he's handing over to Rolf Inaiken. And then there is Daniel Karwitz, who is handing over to the 2012 and 2015 GT Master champion Sebastian Asch. So there's a driver with a serious amount of experience. So that's all cars that will have pitted once these two exit, and we will actually get to see where everybody is in relation to everybody else. The window is now closed. There is the number 77 car of Geoffrey Schmidt. He took over from Marvin Kirchhofer, currently showing in 6th place. of turn 12 comes the Callaway Competition Corvette. The cars cross the line. As you can see, it's Igor Velilko who resumes his position, or the car's position, at the front of the field ahead of Lucas Stoltz. Raffaele Marciello making it a Mercedes 1-2-3. Then it's Clemens Schmidt in Jeffrey Schmidt, not Clemens Schmidt, Jeffrey Schmidt in the Corvette, and then the number 74 of Joel Eriksson. And great to welcome Joel Eriksson back to the GT Masters field for this weekend. So Igor Velilko leading the way. So the question is, can he hold off the combined strength of Lucas Stoltz and Raffaele Marciello, two very experienced and pretty robust drivers? We saw Nick Yellowlead coming through there. He's down in 15th place. This is Lucas Sandro Treves, and that is Mikael Ammermuller getting together. So their woes continue and still ongoing. And Mikael Ammermuller getting out onto the grass, keeps it out of the gravel trap, but that's lost him a load of time. And he drops back. He's showing in 12th position at the moment. So Lucas Sandro Treves, who took over from Christopher Haase in 10th place. So yet more work for Mikael Ammermuller, and they really are not having a lot of luck at the moment, having started the season so powerfully. They won 2 races out of the first 3. They had a couple of 6th places, and then it all started to go wrong in race 2 in Zandvoort, where Mathieu Jaminet spun off into a gravel trap in the closing stages of the race. Then yesterday, spins and penalties, putting them down in 13th place, and here they are now down in 12th, and a lot of work to do. You can see that Raffaele Marciello has wound in Lucas Stoltz, and there is yet more excitement. It's the 69 of Florian Spengler getting together with Maximilian Hacklander. A little bit of rallycross across the grass. Spengler rejoins. Did well not to make contact with Hacklander as he came back off the grass. So battles continuing throughout the field. Igor Velilko leads. You can just see here again the 69 and the 14 cars getting together into the corner, and Spengler trying to put the squeeze on, and Hacklander going, no, I'm not having any of that, and squeezing him back again into turn 1. Picking up a bit of dust, and in the background is David Yarn, who takes advantage of the two of them getting together and ducks through and nicks the position from both of them. So it's a gift to David Yarn. So talking of gifts, it's the birthday boy who leads the way, Igor Velilko. He's got 1.87 seconds over Lucas Stoltz and Raffaele Marciello. And there is Charles Witt, who's taken over from Dries Vanthoor. The incident that we just saw involving Florian Spengler is under investigation by our race stewards. And there is the GRT Grasser Lamborghini getting a little bit sideways. That allows Charles Witt to come through. A Lamborghini not really made for running on the dirt. So Charles Witt is through and up into 16th place. It was Mike David Ortman at the wheel of that Lamborghini. And we're looking at a different Lamborghini, another of the GRT Grasser cars on the inside. And looks like Lucas Sandro Treves. And that's Mirko Bortolotti. So Bortolotti and Treves, and Bortolotti is past. He's up into 9th place. So there's our leader, Igor Velilko, 1.8 seconds. And he's taken over from Jules Gounon. Gounon did so much hard work in the qualifying and the race. Velilko doing a great job keeping that going. Lucas Stoltz still in a fairly solid 2nd place. Marciello in 3rd. If things finish as they are at the moment, then Marciello and Buch are going to be very much contenders for the top of the championship standings. Here we go again, Mike David Ortman having a look at Charles Witt in the background. That's Yusuf Awega that was behind them. And now towards the very back of the pack in 24th position, That's a long way back for Klaus Bachler, a man of his experience, who's taken over from Simona Di Silvestro, and she's not had the best day, and has left Klaus Bachler with something of a mountain to climb to get back up and into the points with less than 20 minutes of this race remaining. So there's a graduate from ADAC GT4 Germany, Yusuf Awega, in the number 4 car. He's taken over from Patrick Niederhauser. Ahead of him is Mike David Ortman and Charles Witt. Car 14 has been asked to fall back behind car 69. So Maximilian Hacklander has been requested by the stewards to fall back behind Florian Spengler, and that's as a result of that incident that we saw where they got a little bit out on the dirt, and the stewards taking a very sensible approach. No draconian action. A drive-through penalty would have been too harsh. Now, more challenges for position. That is Nick Yellerly on the inside of the Thomas Preining car. That's for 14th place. So Preining holding on to that position. Nick Yellerly has become something of an expert of working his way through the field in the ADAC GT Masters. The Aston Martin Formula 1 team development driver who races GT Masters amongst other GT cars in his spare time, and very, very competitive. He knows BMW through and through. There's confirmation of that decision of car 14 having to fall back behind car 69. So to remind you again, that's Maximilian Hacklander who has to fall back behind Florian Spengler. So the battles are raging on throughout the field. Lucas Stoltz has taken a couple of tenths out of Igor Velilko's lead, but nothing too significant at this moment. We're heading towards the 3/4 distance of this race. You can see a bit of dust in the air, so somebody has had a bit of a moment out of the corner. And there is that change of position. So car 14, Maximilian Hacklander, having to back off, but having to be very careful not to let through Ilya Earhart, who's lurking in the background. And now Hacklander has it all to do again. In the mix there is also David Yarn in the other of the KUS, not the KUS Porsches, the Team U Sportwagen Technique Porsches. So David Yarn in there as well. So there is the number 69 car. Once again, Florian Spengler in 21st place. Maximilian Hacklander behind, then Ilya Earhart and Klaus Bachler. So once again, making that move happen, Maximilian Hacklander to the inside of the Audi. Spengler moves across to shut the door before Earhart can follow him through. And of course, Spengler and Earhart are racing in their own championship, the Trophy Championship for the gentlemen drivers. And it's Spengler who has the lead in that championship at the moment. Earhart, who is third in that particular point standing. So as you can see, car 14 has pulled away quite quickly, and that's Hacklander has managed to open up a gap from Spengler fairly rapidly. There's the 1, 2, 3 coming through. It's Igor Velilko who leads in the Zach Speed Mercedes, about 1.6 seconds ahead of Lucas Stoltz. Then it's Raffaele Marciello. And then the first non-Mercedes car is the Corvette of Jeffrey Schmidt. And then a Porsche of Joel Eriksson. And this is the fight for 6th place. So Ricardo Feller at the wheel of the Monteplas by Land Audi, turning the heat up on Rolf van Eycken in the GRT Grassa Lamborghini. You can see the Lamborghini just ahead of him, and the braking into the corner. And Ricardo Feller, who has had a very solid weekend here, came into this weekend 4th in the Drivers' Championship, started this race at the top of the championship. So looking to continue that great progress, solid, consistent points. We ride on board with Kim Louis Schramm in 8th position, and that's Mirko Bortolotti who looks to have found their way past Kim Louis Schramm. So Riccardo Fella is in a GRT Grasser Lamborghini sandwich. He is the filling. He's got one in front and one behind. And Mirko Bortolotti, also a championship contender, third in the championship coming into this race. And that is the view of a Lamborghini from behind, from the perspective of Kim Louis Schramm in the Rutronic Racing Audi. Rutronic Racing, who won the GT Masters Championship in 2019 in the hands of Patrick Niederhauser and Kelvin van der Linde. And now Kim Louis Schramm and Dennis Marshall in that car. So there's Joel Eriksson. Really solid drive from him, really impressive stuff. The number 74 KUS Team 75 Bernhard Porsche has been strong all weekend. Joel Eriksson, Julian Andlauer, both making their 2021 debuts in GT Masters, and to be running that solidly. They picked up a 9th place yesterday, which was pretty good, so to be running in 5th today is outstanding. So the gap has come down a little bit. 1.305 seconds is the gap between first and second. As we look at Riccardo Fella now turning the heat up on Rolf Nyken. He wants that 6th place. So Fella almost pushing Nyken around the corner. And Nyken just making that Lamborghini as wide as possible. You see him just touching the curb on the way out, using every little bit of the track. Ahead of them is Joel Eriksson. And again, the splitter cam on the Riccardo Fella car, very impressive stuff. In the background, Mirko Bortolotti, poised, ready for action. Further back, Mikael Ammermuller is back up to 12th place. He's got Sebastian Asch ahead of him. But Rolf Nyken in 6th place. And Riccardo Fella putting the pressure on. You can see just ahead of them Joel Eriksson in the Porsche. So we're heading towards the last 10 minutes of this race. The gap between first and second is down to 1.2 seconds. So Lucas Stoltz is just very gradually nibbling away at that lead. But Igor Valilko looks to have things well under control. There's 4th place, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, all running together. And then a gap back to Lucasandro Treves in 9th and Sebastian Asch. Again, Riccardo Fella trying all that he can to find a route past Rolf Nyken. And we've got a fire. That's the Callaway Competition Corvettes. Jeffrey Schmidt is out, we're very pleased to say, but that is a big fire. This could potentially bring out a safety car. The Corvette has gone up in smoke. That's a real shame. It was running in 4th place, so clearly a major problem there. That's completely blocking the pit lane with smoke. This could well bring out a safety car or even potentially a red flag. You can see that the driver, and here comes the safety car, the driver is getting involved in putting that fire out. That was a big fire for the Jeffrey Schmidt Corvette. Here comes the safety car. And that 1.2 second lead that Igor Valilko had is going to be eaten away. And suddenly the dynamic of this race changes, because all those big gaps that have been built up are suddenly going to disappear to nothing. So it looks like the fire is out on that Corvette. You could see it coming into the pits, potentially a big engine blow up. And it's good that he was able to get that car into the pits nice and quickly, stopped it right next to the fire truck, which is always a good move. And looks as though they've got that fire out, but that has made it, and you can see that Jeffrey Schmidt was running around going, come on, where are you? We need a fire extinguisher. And even though he was right next to the fire truck, they didn't appear to be quite as ready as he'd hoped. But anyway, he's grabbed the extinguisher himself in the end, got the thing put out, but that's a lot of damage been done to that Corvette, and such a shame. They were looking good for a 4th place in this. They'd already won one race at the Red Bull Ring. Marvin Kirchhofer and Jeffrey Schmidt. But they're not going to be going any further in this race this afternoon. A little under, well, about 9 minutes now remaining of this race. And that fire was properly raging, wasn't it? You can see it was actually Jeffrey Schmidt himself who went and got a fire extinguisher and got that fire extinguished. The fire is out and the car is now just parked up at the side of the pit lane, and you can see the frustration in the Callaway competition pit, that it had taken them a long time to actually get an extinguisher to that car. You can see it's made a bit of a mess of that Corvette C7 GT3, and it's right on the entrance into the pits as well. So the question is, how long is it going to take him to get that moved? You can see somebody putting the asbestos gloves on. Probably not asbestos, but certainly the heat-proof gloves to get that car moved out of the way. And that really has made a real mess, hasn't it? So, wow, look at that. The blackened Callaway competition Corvette at the side of the pit lane, and the fire crew now thinking about putting some water on it. So we've got notification that the safety car is in on this lap. It's not blocking the pit lane entrance as such, so things can continue. There is an element of protection for the people that are working on that car, so we are able to go back racing a little bit quicker than we were worried we might not have done. And it's Igor Velilko who's going to have all the pressure. Is the birthday boy going to be able to hold off Lucas Stoltz and Raffaele Marciello? Because suddenly everybody is closed up. Everybody can see the opportunity for a points haul here. It's at the restart where positions are lost and gained, and it's quite often at the restarts where more safety cars are triggered. So Velilko now controlling the pace. The safety car is peeled off into the pit lane. Here comes Velilko out of turn 12. He's got a good jump on Lucas Stoltz. Raffaele Marciello has not anticipated the start particularly well. You can see Velilko trying to generate some heat into the tyres in towards turn 1. Stoltz is there, but unable to make a move. But look at this on the outside. Joel Eriksson having a little look. And drama further back. Riccardo Fellow being mugged by the two GRT Grassa Lamborghinis. And that really is getting stuck in. It's more Mirko Bortolotti and Rolf van Eycken that surround that car. So we're back under racing. And a challenge for the lead. Lucas Stoltz is challenging, but it looks like Velilko has held him off. So Stoltz having a little nibble as they headed out towards turn 6. And the rest of the cars are coming through. There's Youssef Awega with a Lamborghini for company. So 5.5 minutes of this race remaining. Nick Yellowly has not made the kind of progress he had hoped for, down in 13th position. So he is in the points, albeit the lower points positions, and he will be doing everything he can to find a route to pass Charles Witt, who's just ahead of him. There's Mirko Bortolotti running in 7th place, a championship contender. But his main championship rival, Riccardo Fella, is directly in front of him in 6th place. So the leader, Igor Velilko, has not got the luxury of the 1.2 second gap that he had before the safety car. In fact, all he's got is a little under 0.4 of a second, and Lucas Stoltz suddenly has a sniff of a potential victory. Nick Yellowly working hard at the wheel. He's down in 13th place at the moment. There is Jeffrey Schmidt back to the pits. Looks as though he's managed to get out of that Corvette unscathed, which is good news. So first and second have broken clear a bit from Raffaele Marciello. Then it's Joel Eriksson in fourth place in the Porsche. Then Rolf Nijken and Mirko Bortolotti sandwiching Riccardo Fella in sixth place. So again, Mirko Bortolotti staring at the back of that Audi would dearly love to get past. We're in to less than 4 minutes of this race, plus one lap. And you can see the Lamborghini just getting as close as possible. Mirko Bortolotti throwing everything at it. Vililko leads the way. Stoltz has dropped back slightly. Marciello some 2.5 seconds off the lead and about 1.5 seconds off the car in front of Lucas Stoltz. So Marciello not able to make any impression on second place. And you can see Charles Witt in the background just taking to the grass. So having some dramas just getting around that corner. So, can Riccardo Fella do anything about Rolf Nijken in front of him? This is a battle that has been ongoing for much of the race. Lamborghini versus Audi. Riccardo Fella in the Monteplas by Land Audi. He looks to the outside becomes the inside, and in so doing, he opens the door to Mirko Bortolotti. He slams the door again, a couple of wheels out onto the dirt, doing all that he can. So that challenge on the number 19 car has opened the door for Bortolotti to potentially find a route through. These three cars absolutely glued together. Again, Fella looks to the inside, and again, Nijken shuts off that position. A little bit of a poke from Bortolotti, has some of that, he says, but still the positions remain unchanged. This has allowed Kim Louis Schramm to close in on them as well. Schramm in 8th position. Our leader has got just over a second gap to Lucas Stoltz. Incident between Nick Yellowlee and Mike David Altman is under review as well by the stewards, as if they didn't have enough to be doing. But that is further down. This is the closest fight of the pack. Oh, we're having a look here at Charles Witt and Mike David Altman. A little bit of panel rubbing, and Witt goes wide and loses several places as a result. This has not been the weekend that WRT wanted for that Audi. Both he and Dries Van Zyl, and you see Witt slapping the wall out of turn 5. That solid concrete would not have done any favours at all. So the 63 car Mirko Bortolotti has found a route past Riccardo Fella while all that was going on. The two GRT Grasser Racing Lamborghinis have joined each other on the track, and Fella has been relegated a position. Another incident under review, and that is between Simon Riker and Florian Spengler. So lots of incidents under review. You can see Charles Witt, who is dropping like a stone back through the pack, and I wouldn't help wondering whether that smack against the concrete has done a little bit of damage to his Audi. Here comes Vililko. He's opened the gap up to 1.3 seconds. Great job there. Lucas Stoltz is second place. Raffaele Marciello in third. There are more championship challengers. There's Mikael Landmüller in a distant 11th place, and Yellowlee is working his way forwards as well. It's all changed up and down the order. So Ammermuller with Yellowlee. This is a replay of Bortolotti getting past Riccardo Fella. And Fella, who went from being a challenger of a Lamborghini, has suddenly been challenged by the other one of the GRT Grasser Lamborghinis, the other one of 3, in fact, that are on the track. Drive-through penalty has been awarded to car 69 for causing a collision. So Florian Spengler's afternoon goes from bad to worse. That will no doubt be added on after this race is finished as a time penalty. So here come the field. Igor Vililko. We're into the +1 lap of the race. Lucas Stoltz, Raffaele Marciello, and Joel Eriksson, Rolf Nijken, Mirko Bortolotti, Riccardo Fella, who was looking so promising for 6th place, but has now let Mirko Bortolotti through. So Nick Yellerly in the number 10 Schubert Motorsport BMW all the way down in 12th place, so not picking up the points that they'd hoped for this afternoon. In front of him is Sebastian Asch in the ADAC Motorsport Audi. And we're on to the final lap of the race, so Yellerly is going to have to get weaving if he wants to find a route past that car. The absolute closing stages of our GT Masters racing here at the Lausitzring this weekend. It has been eventful, to say the least. And we are on the final lap, riding on board with Nick Yellerly at the moment. At the front is Igor Velilko, who leads the way, the birthday boy, who took over from Jules Gounon. Gounon put the car on pole position and opened up a big gap. Velilko has taken over driving duties and carried on the good work. In the background, Lucas Stoltz, who took over from Mauro Engel in 2nd place. And in 3rd, Raffaele Marciello, who took over from Maxi Buch. Our focus, though, on Igor Velilko. He's into the last few corners in towards turn 11. He comes out onto turn 12, onto the pit straight for the Zach Speed Mercedes. He weaves as he crosses the start-finish line to receive the checkered flag. It's a winner. Igor Velilko and Jules Gounon taking their win for race 2 here at the Lausitzring. It's Lucas Stoltz and Mauro Engel in 2nd. Raffaele Marciello and Maxi Buch in 3rd. A great drive for Joel Eriksson, really impressive, and Julian Andlauer into 4th place. And that driving duo would do well to continue in this series, because they really have shown incredible strength in the KUS Team 75 Bernhard Porsche. But our focus, quite rightly at the moment, on that car there. It was the car that we saw parked up on the banking yesterday with oil pouring from it. It had coated the track in oil after a big blow up, and the team spent the entire night rebuilding that Zach Speed Mercedes, and it comes out, scores a pole position in the hands of Jules Gounon and a race win in the hands of Igor Velilko. Great job. So there's your official classification of race 2 here at the Lausitzring. It's Velilko and Gounon who win from Stoltz and Engel, ahead of Marciello and Buch, Eriksson and Lauer. Bortolotti and Albert Costa Balboa, with Ricardo Feller and Christopher Mies getting past Rolf and Eichen in the closing stages. So Ricardo Feller did get back up into 6th place, and Rolf and Eichen down into 7th. And Mirko Bortolotti has really benefited out of that. The championship was close coming into this weekend. It's going to be pretty level coming out of this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing the points standings. I'm not going to try and work them out myself, because they're bound to be wrong. So we'll just wait for them to come up on screen, and our people with the calculators will be doing their calculations as we speak. That car there was the winner, the Zach Speed Mercedes in the hands of Igor Velilko. Crossing the line, and Jules Gounon, the 2017 GT Masters champion, who started off at the wheel of that car, and Igor Velilko, who I think that was his first ever win in GT Masters. So he's a driver who's raced go-karts against Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, so he knows how to mix it with the superstars. He came up through the ranks in ADAC Formula 4 and was in Porsche Carrera Cup Germany in 2018 and 2019. He guested for a handful of races last year in the BWT Mucca car, but has really found the form in the Zach Speed Mercedes, Maxi Buch and Raffaele Marciello. Looking almost forlorn, but they really have no need to be forlorn, because they have done their championship challenge no harm whatsoever with that third place. The distinctive pink BWT Mercedes of Lucas Stoltz and Mauro Engel in second place. It's not often that you see a 1, 2, 3 from the same manufacturer. The one thing about GT Masters is very much the variety on the podium, but it is a 1, 2, 3 for Mercedes. The Mercedes AMG filling out all the positions. So Raffaele Marciello, now minus the green hair that we saw him with last time out, has had a haircut. Scores another podium with Maxi Buch, and that is a strong pairing, isn't it? Here we go. Look at that. How close. Just 3 points separating 1 and 2 in the championship. Bortolotti and Costa Balboa 9 points behind. Mauro Engel and Lucas Stoltz 16 points behind. The drivers who came into this weekend as championship leaders are now down into 5th place, 18 points off the lead. And it just shows you how quickly things can change in GT Masters. It is so competitive and so close. And just because you're leading a championship doesn't mean you're going to lead it when you come out of the weekend. So Christopher Mies, Ricardo Feller came into this weekend in 4th, now enjoying a lead ahead of Maxi Buch and Raffaele Marciello. And I have to say the Buch and Marciello combination is looking very strong to me. And they have just been there or thereabouts pretty well every race. They scored a non-finish in Oschersleben after Raffaele Marciello got into trouble and ended up in the gravel trap. In fact, it wasn't Marciello, it was Maxi Buch at the time at the wheel. But apart from that, have been scoring in every race. And had it not been for the non-finish in Oschersleben, would no doubt be at the top of the championship now. There they are in slow-mo in the man filter HTP Mercedes. In second place, Lucas Stoltz and Mauro Engel in the AMG Team TopSport WRT. And making it a 1, 2, 3 for Mercedes AMG. The champion from 2017, Jules Gounon, and I believe first-time winner in GT Masters, Igor Velilko, who celebrates his birthday today, and that celebration is going to go long into the night as he picks up the win in race 2. And there is the remnants of the Callaway Competition Corvette, and that is looking pretty roasted after that fire, and a lot of work to be done by the Callaway crew before we reconvene at Sachsenring in about 3 weeks' time. So the car is gently lowered onto the truck, but that really was quite a fire that came from that. So we head up towards the podium. So you can see the height difference between Raffaele Marciello and Maxi Buch, and when you think they're driving the same car, they use a seat insert, well, Maxi Buch does, just to bring himself up to height, but the car has to be adjusted and set up in such a way that they can both fit in. So, always good to listen in, see if we can find any useful information.
Johnny, can I give you this?
Woohoo indeed.
Die anderen waren schneller als gedacht. Nur rein und relativ langsam raus.
They were speaking English, but
war eh gut. Ich gesehen, irgendwas ist los da hinten. For us it was like bearing or something. The windows red. Weil ich wollte erst rechts und dann dachte ich so,
Scheiße, nicht außen in die Ecke, sondern geht in die Mitte und dann war ich neben dir und dann
Well, it's just a noise now, isn't it? So here we go, the 6 Mercedes drivers comparing notes in the cool-down room. And Igor Vililko will be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Der noch nicht daran mit der Kamera.
So
Guys, we can start.
we're getting ready for the podium presentation. I'd say Raffaele Marciello looking fairly subdued despite a great result. Maybe he was expecting more, but he is a fiercely competitive and tall driver, and I'm told somebody who really had the promise of a single-seater career but was just too tall for it, and has made his name in GT racing instead, and he really has made his name. So we gather up to the podium here at the Lausitzring. Great to be here back at this facility again this year, and we welcome on to the podium Igor Vililko and Jules Gounon, the winners of race 8, the first race of the second half of the season. Lucas Stoltz and Mauro Engel in second place. And then on to the podium, Raffaele Marciello and Maxi Buch. A representative from the historic Zach Speed team. And we get ready for the national anthem. Top step of the podium is where Zach Speed has been many times in the past. A team that was founded in 1968 by Eric and Peter Zakowski, and have made their name in so many different classes. They receive their winning trophies. And of course, Zach Speed, who took part in Formula 1 for a while in the mid to late 80s. Good to see Herman Tomczyk back up on the podium, present the trophies to our second place. And a third place, Raffaele Marciello and Maxi Buch, who have been pretty consistent this year. And a trophy to Team Zach Speed, and they deserve it after that all-nighter, getting that car back together, and their hard work has definitely paid off. So a moment to pose for the cameras, and then very shortly the celebrations will commence. A double celebration for Igor Vililko on this, his birthday. He wins his first race in the ADAC GT Masters.